Hello. It says I'm live. Is my sound working? It looks like it is. Put it on live chat instead of top chat. How's everybody doing today? Can you hear me? Check, check. I don't like to complain. You know how I always like to say if that's my biggest problem, then I'm really lucky. You can kind of say that about almost any problem, including the medieval torture of these effing braces. So it's been so hard for me to talk. It's been so hard for me to sleep. It's been so hard for me to exist, which is one of the reasons why I have been making less videos. However, I really want to keep making my videos, and now my nose is getting itchy. Whoa, Coco. Sorry, baby. Nose is getting itchy. Let me get a cute little hanky and scratch my nose. And let me just start out by apologizing for putting all that wax on my teeth in front of everybody in my last live. I seriously almost took the video down. I made it like members only for a couple hours. And then I was like, I might get some heat and people might be grossed out, but whatevs. What you gonna do? So I do need to deal with this tickle in my freaking nose. One sec. I shit you not. It's like a curse. As soon as you go on, you get like a dog hair up your nose or something, or your teeth start hurting and you have to put the wax on. So I have the wax on. I might have to mess around with it. I hope that I don't, since I did so much of that the last time. And let me just start with please make sure you're still subscribed and share a video of mine with somebody that you think might like my channel. Turn on your notification bell to ring. Hit your like button if you don't mind. And everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of hoping to start a conversation, open up a discussion, learn something, be educational. All of my videos are made for the tube of you. It's an infotainment platform. Oh, there's so much spaghetti being thrown at the wall, I feel like, from our politicians, especially the top-ranking politicians. I don't think it's any coincidence that all this stuff with Venezuela and Hegseth is blowing up right now. Maybe some of you or most of you have seen the trove of videos and photographs that was dropped yesterday online of it's just horrifying, of Epstein Island. So until now, really all of the images that we've seen of the island have been taken from drone footage or people that have kind of snuck onto the island. I know I watched like a 1 or 2 hour video of these two 20-year-old guys who just snuck onto the island and ran around videotaping stuff. That was pretty wild. But they didn't even get a lot of the stuff. I wonder why that is. I wonder if there were just some areas that they didn't go to because of the no trespassing signs. So, I've done a lot of deep diving with the victimization of the survivors and what they had to endure. And looking at the photographs and the videotape that was dropped yesterday, it's like, if you didn't know any better at first glance, you could just say, so what? What does that prove? It doesn't really prove anything. Even the dentist chair. If you've seen the dentist chair with the old nasty men's faces, floating heads on the wall. They look like they're made of paper mache and they're really ugly, really fugly. Even that room with the dentist chair and those floating heads, you could just be like, well, yeah, you might need a dentist when you're on the island and you're rich. So why not have a dentist come to you rather than you go to the dentist? Makes sense. But I think most of us, probably first thing we thought of was Marathon Man. And again, like the medieval torture, Messing with teeth is the most painful. It's the hardest to endure the torture. But I say that as someone who hasn't been through the depths of the pits of hell that the survivors of that whole regime have been through. Again, if the medieval torture device on my teeth is my biggest problem, I'm a very fortunate individual. Seriously. I've always liked to be grateful for the problems that I have, right? Because, not to compare apples and oranges, but man, there's some serious crap going on. And let me just dive right into what I used for my thumbnail with the cabanas by the swimming pool. So that was something that I don't think they showed in the video footage, those two guys that trespassed onto the island and made so much great footage. I don't think they went there. It's like these winding staircases that are made of stones, rocks, kind of looks like castles with pretty tall walls on either side. And that's going like from that weird building that's painted like the did I do my disclaimer? I keep doing it twice lately. Sorry. Going from that weird building, the one that resembles like the Egyptian bathhouse with the blue and white stripes, and it's got like the door that's painted on the side of the building, and it's a really small building. And it used to have a dome. The dome got blown off during one of the hurricanes. So I'll do my disclaimer real quick. Everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of hoping to start a conversation. Yeah, I did do it. I'm remembering now. Because I remember saying, for the tube of you. I think I made that up. I like it. Because it really does hit home that this is what YouTube is. It is much more tailored to our specific interests and focus and needs. The tube of you, the tube of me. Anyway, so the rock staircase, the stone staircase, it's very elaborate. And it's weird to me the way it's got these walls on the side. So I'm just going to tell you my opinion of it. It almost looks like it reminds me of like the like cattle would be getting prodded to go through there. What's the word I'm looking for? Like herding cattle. And so you're going up all these stairs. Most of the stone wall is on both sides, and it looks like it's maybe about close to 4 feet tall. But there's times where it's like 10 feet tall. And there's this one really weird stopping point that is just like this giant, almost like a tiny amphitheater. This is just as you're going up or down the stairs. And then the wall there is much taller. It's maybe like 15 feet tall. And there's 2 windows. And right away, I was like, what the F is that? Like, why would you have windows out there? And again, like not only do you have the hurricanes, but you just have a lot of really heavy duty weather out in the islands like that. So having glass windows in the stone, it just gives me the creeps. It gives me the creeps. This is what I think it is. I'll just spit it out, and maybe I'm just tripping. I think that they would round up the, not cattle, but persons that maybe they've shipped in from places like Romania, Ukraine, Russia, maybe Native Americans from the southeast part of our country. Hadn't really thought about that with the Santa Fe property, the Zora Ranch. A lot of Native American women go disappeared every year. A lot. You've probably seen the red hands, like the red paint over someone's mouth. That's like an image that is supposed to be representational of all the Native American women that go missing each year. The numbers are astronomical. So, hurting all of these young females, probably mostly females, and definitely young, because that's their whole thing, that's their whole shtick, hurting them from that weird Egyptian bathhouse type of building up to the swimming pool. And then you've got all these cabanas. Now, the thing that really flips me out about the cabanas, and again, maybe I'm just tripping, is that they all have like these very dungeon looking locks, like the 2x4 that goes over the whole door or the set of doors. It just blows my mind. I kind of feel like everything Virginia Giuffre wrote about in her book and everything that we've talked about so far and everything that we've learned about so far with little E and little T and John Casablanca and Jizz and Jean-Luc Brunel and just all these dirt bags. What is that one? Pablo Zapoli, the guy who's like in the administration right now, the one that says that he introduced Melania Bot to Donnie Toodles. I think his name is Paul Zampolini. It's something like that. Anyway, he also owned a modeling agency, but now he's got some high up administrative position in the administrative cabinet. Where was I going with that? I feel like everything that we've learned about so far is really just skating on the surface, and that it is not only much more like a Stanley Kubrick Eyes Wide Shut type of thing, but it's also more like a Rocky Horror Picture Show kind of thing. And Rosemary's Baby. I mean, we don't talk about these things, and a lot of people don't believe that the Titanic, the ritualistic stuff, a lot of people I don't think even believe that it's real, but it's very real, and it pretty much happens in every city across the country. And it's all part of, in my understanding, it's all part of greed and sacrifice, that, the more you sacrifice to the dark monsters, the more success you can have. So it's a big thing in Hollywood. It's a big thing in business. It's just a big thing. And I think a lot of people like to get into it too, just because it's taboo and they think they're so badass for doing it. But, one sec. Honey pot, I'm on live. Oh, it's like, okay, you probably heard that, as if she wasn't making noise. And I don't mind you guys hearing my background noise, like my dogs or my family. I just, I get distracted by it. So it kind of derails my thought process, which honestly is not hard to derail my thought process, especially these days with the braces, with the overabundance of crap in the news, with the overabundance of things that I want to talk about. So I try to write notes, and then I come on live and I just kind of go brain dead. So let me pull out my notes. But did I finish up that thought that got interrupted? The Titanic stuff. some people in the administration and in the know have said that everything that we've heard about the e-files, or let's call them the Trumpstein files, everything we've heard about them so far does not even begin to scratch the surface of the depths of the depravity. So I would think that that would be indicative of the things I just said, that we're not simply talking about the horrifying violation and the essay and the statutory. I mean, horrific. But I'm convinced that we're dealing with like the whole long pig thing. And if you don't know what that is, you can just Google it. Although it might flag you for, feds keeping a close eye on your activities. And I think the buying and selling, I think the slave trade, I think the slave block. So all of those cabanas, there's so many of them with the major like dungeon looking lock across the outside of the door. So like if you're in there, you're not getting out. You're just not getting out. You couldn't really see how many there were around the pool, but the pool is really large, and it kind of looked like at least 20, which, let's just, for fairness sake, let's just go to the innocent side. That's just so that every guest can have their own little cabana where they can have their clothes and their snacks and their little haven, their own little shower. Maybe that's what it is. It's nothing so sinister, right? It's just decadent. And I don't know how billionaires live. Heck, never hung out with a billionaire. Never plan to. I've definitely known a lot of wealthy people. And in my opinion, the more money people have, the more unappealing they can be as humans. So I'll just leave it at that, stated quite simply. Let me look at my notes real quick. I think that some of these weasels right now in our government administration they have their feet on the fire. They are under extreme heat. It's looking like Keg's Breath could be getting fired any minute. You never know. I mean, I think that Tenacious D protects his boys, like CASHAPP Patel. He's also at high risk of getting ousted, forced to resign, or however you want to say it. I like to say got resigned. People get themselves resigned. But in my experience, when it's the corruption is at the top, the people at the top will do everything they can to protect the people below them. I think of it like a chess game, and the people below them are their pawns, and they need their pawns for protection. Like they're not as powerful as the king and the queen, but they're there for protection. And the less pawns and knights and bishops and castles that you have, the less able you are to protect your king. I mean, your king is the one that, you don't want to lose your queen, because your queen can do almost every move that there is, other than the knight, the L shape. That's the only one the queen can't do if you know chess. But if you lose your king, the game is over. If you're in checkmate, if you're at risk of losing your king and there's no way out, that's when the jig is up. So it seems to me, again, from my experience, that the corruption will protect all of their pawns, all of their knights, all of their bishops and castles and queens. and that they will fight tooth and nail for each one of them, even the lowest ranking pawn. So, you know, they always try to get people of a lower rank to take the blame, you know, what they say, crap rolls downhill. And at the same time, the closer the person is, the closer the rank is to the leader, the more vulnerable the leader is. So again, thinking about a chess game, if all you had left were your pawns, you'd be screwed. You know, you'd need to have some of these pieces that are able to move frontwards and backwards and longer distances. You know, pawns can only go one square forward, whether that's just one square forward for a move or one square diagonal forward to take something out. But all of those other pieces can go, well, everything but the horse can go the distance of the board. It can go as far as it can go. The horse can only do the L shape, the 1 over and 2 long, or the 2 over and 1 long. However you want to do your L shape, you can do it any direction. But anyway, enough with the chess metaphor. The contempt that, I don't even like to call this guy anything other than like piece of crap. You know, the guy called Donnie Toodles or Dear Leader or Little T, Tenacious D. Let's go with the Tenacious D today. Is that Annabise? My dear, you're so awesome. You came in to rescue me. I'm like, nobody's here. I can't focus. It helps me so much to interact with a real person. Thank you, my dear. Hi, Jazz and everyone. Getting ready for work, but I'm listening. Oh, very cool. So nice to see you. Yeah, it is what, Thursday? It's December 4th. It's almost 5 o'clock. So we have exactly 3 weeks until the big day. You know, I try not to get stressed out with the holidays, but I do. I definitely do. I like to try to be low key. I could really care less about the gifts. For me, it's all about just hanging out with family. So it's a lot of pressure, and I just think it's for the birds. So I'm always glad when it's over. Although I do like it. I mean, the holidays don't make me depressed necessarily. They just stress me out. So I try to get into it for the kids and for everybody else. I mean, what are you going to do, right? Be a Jehovah's Witness or something? That's one solution. Dang it, Nancy. Hello, my dear. Good afternoon, my dear. Just the person I need to speak to. Are you supposed to winterize your plants outside, and how? LOL. I love the word winterize because it makes me think of Satanize. That's like one of my favorite little memes, is back in the COVID days, where someone is like getting their space to look all ritualistic and you know, horrifying, and someone's like, what are you doing? And they said, well, you said to Satanize the house. And they're like, no, I didn't say Satanize the house, I said sanitize the house. But yeah, winterizing the plants outside is what you do, is you can throw a sheet over them. It's actually really good. This might sound counterintuitive. It's really good to water the roots. You would think, like logically, that would make it freeze up and be harsher. But for some reason, that's supposed to be helpful if you water them before the freeze. You'd have to Google it. I don't know that much about it. I'm really not a good gardener, but I do garden a little bit. I would rely on my mother, who was like an expert gardener, and she's no longer around to consult with. But you can Google stuff. Basically, any plants that are outside, you want to cover them with a sheet or a blanket, or bring them in. And I think that's about it. I don't know what else I can give you for info. I'm going to be a Jehovah's Witness this year. That's adorable. Did you just say that? Yeah, I did. I did. So yeah, my damn braces are really effing hurting, and I might have to be gross and try to put on a little more wax, even though I came on with a full set of wax. Let me see if I can just do a couple little tiny spots to help. God, it's such a pain in the butt. Such an absolute pain in the butt. Okay. And yeah, when I was putting it on during my video, my last video, I was just like, that is ridiculous. I shouldn't torture you guys like that. I shouldn't even do it on the screen. I should turn around. Like, I don't really care, but I don't want to gross people out. But you know me, I'm humble enough. Like, I can get over it as long as you can get over it. So one sec. I'm still just holding out until Monday when they put on a different wire that's not supposed to be as annoying. They put on a thicker wire. And I've almost tried to go in a couple of times sooner for an emergency appointment, but I already went in for an emergency appointment Monday. I'm trying to make it until this next Monday. We're almost there. We just hit more than halfway, right? 1 second. Is that about good? Okay. Beauty is pain. Well, and you know, I didn't get the braces for the looks, although it will look a lot better. I did not like that gap, but it was a health issue. My family physician, my primary care physician, was like, that's just going to get worse over time, and it's just going to like create problems for the alignment of your cranium. So she insisted that I get them, and I was fine with that because I don't want the problems with my cranium. I'd already been having the vertigo, right? And then I just thought it was ugly. It was just like a gap right here. I just thought it was really ugly. And yeah, it was getting bigger over time. It wasn't there when I was young. So that's why they put the torture device on me. And man, it is so expensive. It's so insanely expensive. Again, if that's my biggest problem, I'm really lucky. Okay, contempt. I feel like this leadership, this guy, Tenacious D, has so much contempt for everybody. Everybody, not just the reporters that embarrass him, but even for his sycophants. I mean, he's just a hateful individual. Really, it's all gets back to self-loathing, right? But he loves to instill fear in people. He loves to punish people. He loves to berate people. He's just a really miserable individual, and how he's not been removed from that position. Was that the day before yesterday when he was snoozing in his meeting? I think I was talking about that in my last video the day before yesterday, so maybe it was like 3 days ago. And then all these sycophants on Fox News have come out fighting for him. Like, so what? He closed his eyes. That's fine. Like, these people are so insane. He must have a lot of dirt on these people, or just pay them a lot of money. I bet it's both. I bet it's both. You're so pretty. You do you. I did yoga with you last night. Oh, dang it, Nancy, you were awesome. So I'm so happy that you did the yoga. Do you like it? Because I feel like each time I do it, I get better at it. Mostly. I mean, sometimes I'm just like out of it. Sometimes I like miss stuff, or I'm just not as flexible some days as other days. But it's so relaxing. It's so relaxing. I really look forward to it. Like it's a hard workout, but every single move that I do, like if I screw it up, I'm bummed because I'm like, oh, now I missed that, if I didn't do it right. I mean, each stretch, and I designed it myself. It's tailor made to fit me, specifically when I was recovering from the vertigo. So that's why it's all like low key, sitting on the ground and laying down. You are on your knees a couple of times, and you are on your shoulders for the shoulder stand if you do indeed decide to do those things. But I like to remind people not to feel obligated to do anything that you're not comfortable with. You can modify or you can take a break. So I'm really happy to hear that, my dear. That's awesome. And yeah, I always think about my viewers. When I started doing my yoga, I wasn't planning on doing it for my channel at all. And I didn't know if it was people that honestly wanted to learn the yoga or if they just wanted to see me do it to make fun of me. But, I mean, the only thing that I don't like doing that I have in my routine, my little yin routine that I do almost every day, the only thing I don't like doing on screen is the happy baby. So I do a modified version of it because the happy baby is the bomb. It is like the best stretch. For anybody who doesn't know what it is, real quick, like anybody could do it right now. You just lay on your back and grab your feet into your hands. And if you've ever had a baby, you know that babies do that naturally. But it is kind of a rude position to be in if you're not in a yoga class. So especially when you're like alone on a screen. So I modify it, first of all, by making sure I'm at a pretty good angle that's not so rude. And then I bend one knee at a time so that I'm not just like looking like I'm in stirrups for a pap smear. Sorry, trigger warning. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I only started doing the yoga for my channel because people were interested and wanted to see me doing it. And I was just like, oh, I don't know. I'm embarrassed to do yoga in front of people on a screen, especially stuff like that. And there's so many moves with yoga that, again, you're fine in a yoga class where everybody's doing it. But then when you're the only one and you're on a screen, so you don't know, people could be getting weird with your video. So I stopped buying real Christmas trees 3 years ago. I've had a fake one for the last 2 years. I don't know if I'm even going to put it up this year. You know what, Anna Bees? I bought a fiber optic tree last year, just a little one. I think it's probably like 2, maybe 2 feet, give or take. And I love it. If you don't know what a fiber optic tree is, you probably do. I mean, they're a lot more common now, but my grandmother even had a fiber optic tree when they were brand new, like 20 years ago. She died in 2008, and she'd had one for a few years. So Jazz is so pretty. Oh, Anna Bees, you are so kind. So I've got some of my jewelry on. I want to show you these earrings I did not make, but they're some of my favorites. Can you see it? Is it focused? It's not real focused. Why is it not focusing? That's weird. It's a tiger. It's a liger. You guys know Napoleon Dynamite? The guy draws a liger. So that's annoying that it's like out of focus. Why is that? How weird. Maybe if I put something else there, does that help? No, you really can't see. It's a beautiful little, like, it's almost like a shrinky dink. So it's got a moon and a tiger in the grass. So you can see the green grass and the blue sky and the stars. And this is the head of the tiger. It's just the half with the front paws. And then this is the rest of the tiger. And get the tiger by the tail. There's the tail. So I love these. I just think they're adorable. They're one of my favorite pairs of earrings. I used to wear them a lot, but I have so many. And I need to thinned down. And, you know, I used to give away the jewelry on my channel, and I've thought maybe I should sell the jewelry on my channel. I've been thinking that I'll do that. And now would be a good time, wouldn't it? Anyway, you are so kind, you guys. Thank you for being here too. My schedule has me working Christmas Eve and Christmas Day and New Year's Day. I'm not happy at all about it. That is hard. I am so sorry, Anna Bees. Yeah, I mean, as much as the holidays stress me out, working on the holidays can really suck. I know. I've had to work some of the holidays. My husband, being a first responder, has to work some of the holidays. It's very hard. I'm glad you do your yoga for us. Aw, I'm just glad that you guys like it, because like I don't want to be like weird about doing it, but you know, it's helpful for me to do it on, if I'm doing it on screen, if I'm videotaping myself, I do it much better than if I'm doing it not videotaping myself, and then I'm just like more lackadaisical. So I actually like videotaping it, even though it's more work and more effort. I really like doing it that way. And I'm always hoping that other people are going to get something out of it. Have you ever watched Esoteric Atlanta? She's a master in Ashanta, and she only believes in Eastern philosophy and studying in India. She says all Western yoga is junk. No, I'll have to check it out. All Western yoga is junk. Well, see, yin yoga is real different. It's real different than anything. I'll check her out and see if the Esoteric Atlanta, if she does yin yoga. Not a lot of people do the yin yoga. And honestly, I like the yin yoga more. The big difference is that you hold the positions longer. Like serious yin yoga, you hold each position for anywhere from like 2 to 4 minutes. My yin yoga routine is mostly like a minute, give or take, and a couple of positions I do hold for an extended like 2 or 3 minutes. But I wanted to get so many different things without it being a 90-minute class, because it was a 90-minute class when I first did it, because I was trying to do each thing for the right amount of time. And then my yoga instructor was like, you know, it can still be yin yoga without you doing it for the set amount of minutes. So, because yin basically means like laid back, you know, it's like the as opposed to like yin and yang. The yang is more like athletic. The yin is more quiet, subdued. The feminine, if you're going to look at masculine and feminine of the yin and the yang. I've got a few of those baby real pine trees. I always say I'm going to plant them. It's been 10 years. Oh, very cool. Yeah, we usually go out and cut a tree, and it's just so much work. I mean, the kids love it. I just feel like it's so much work, the decorating the tree, the undecorating the tree. I just try to get into the groove of it because it means a lot to the kids, of course. She has a true crime channel you will love, 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 love. Oh, so she's smart. She has more than one channel. Like, I'm kind of a goofball because I blend it. Thank you for the hot tip, dang it, Nancy. I'm blessed to be limber, but it just feels so good stretching. I love you, Jazz. You're very inspirational. Girl, you are the sweetest. Thank you, my dear. You are why I do this, you know? You and Annabes and the mystery third person that hasn't spoken out yet. But I appreciate you guys so much. It's, you know, I feel like I could just watch a ton of videos and just learn a lot and not do videos, but it's really about the community. It's about you guys. It's about the people. It's not about like me like showing off like, ooh, look what I can do. Look what I know. It's about connecting and building a sense of community. So that means the world to me. You're the best. So yeah, Yeah, there are so many good content creators, and there's just not enough time in the day to keep up with all of them. But I'm also really selective and really picky about who I watch and what I watch. Um, you know, I'm always sharing with you guys the things that I've been watching lately, and I'm often referring to them and linking them up. So there was something that I wanted to link up. Let's see what it is. What was it? The last thing I sent to one of my mods, was it you, Annabees? It was this. Did I send you this one? It's called Trump Child Crime. I think this is Jack Cochiarella, and I wanted to play part of it for you guys. So why don't I do that? But first I want to see if I sent it to you too, Anna. No, I did not. I sent you all the stuff about those Epstein files. Okay, so this one is called Trump Child Crime. I think it's from yesterday. And it's a court leak that exposes a Trump child crime as a lawsuit goes public. This is a brand new lawsuit. This is hideous. I'm going to play you part of it, but basically what strikes me the worst about the whole thing is that the plaintiff is in the complaint alleging that Donnie Two Dolls stole her baby. Yeah. And she was like a child when she had the baby from the abuse. So let me see this video, if I can play it. Get skipped over all of this crap.
There has never been a more important time to be talking about Donald Trump's cover-up of his relationship and crimes alongside Jeffrey Epstein than right now. Donald Trump thinks just because he pretended to support the release of the Epstein files, just because he signed a bill into law, we will all believe that he has been supportive of transparency this entire time, but that is not the case. Donald Trump is just trying to disguise his cover-up in a different way, but he is unable to, both in our government and outside of it, where today we saw the release of court documents alleging new Trump Epstein child crimes that are incredibly disturbing and carry serious consequences. We are going to get into this lawsuit, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like.
So for anybody who's not familiar with this content creator, he's huge. His name is Jack Cochiarella. He was a Columbia University college kid. He started his YouTube channel in his dorm room, and he's got like way over 1 million subs. And he was accused of SA himself at, I think it was Dartmouth or some other college, that he actually got kicked out of because of the accusations. But I'm thinking that it was a smear campaign from political parties. I'm not sure. He doesn't seem like the kind of person. I mean, you can never tell, but anyway, I just want to acknowledge that. So I think he just graduated from Columbia last year. Nice to see you, Billy B.
On this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting the work that we are doing. Now, before we get into these court documents and what they are alleging about the trafficking ring that Donald Trump was allegedly running, I want to start with what Kash Patel said.
Okay, what I like about this video is that I haven't heard a lot of people say anything about the transporting ring that Dear Leader was running. They always talk about the one that little E was running, that little D, little T was there, right? Just being best buddies with this creep. But no, he's the creep of all creeps. He's probably worse than little E. So the rumor is Erica is pregnant with JD's baby. His wife is no longer wearing her wedding ring. I can't keep up anymore. I think that that's probably just a rumor, but I don't know. Bigger than we all thought. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think people are probably running the island right now. And if they're not running the island, they're doing it other places. I mean, this is worldwide, and we know who the players are.
To Adam Schiff when pressed about Epstein's trafficking ring, and Patel saying that there was no one else involved, which is being disproved by new evidence today.
Follow up on Senator Kennedy's question, because he asked you, and I'll be very precise.
Oh my God, I'm going to play this, but it's so annoying. Just to give you a trigger warning, CASHAPP Patel is the most repulsive, ridiculous, obstinate stonewaller imaginable. Like, he should get a prize for being the worst.
Here. You've seen most of the files. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself? And you said himself. There's no credible information, none. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And Kennedy, the information we have, again, is limited. And Senator Kennedy said the answer is no one. And you said for the information we have. So is it your testimony today that in all of the Epstein files, that Jeffrey Epstein trafficked no one to anyone but himself? Is that your testimony, Mr.
I never said Jeffrey Epstein didn't traffic anyone else.
Did he traffic any young woman to someone other than himself? That was Mr. Kennedy's question, Senator Kennedy's question.
The information that 3 administrations have had access to have made determinations that there are no investigative leads that were correct.
He and Pam Bondi have definitely been coached by the same person on how to just be as obstinate and as obnoxious and repulsive as possible.
To prosecute and investigate any others. I'm specifically stating
whether it's your testimony today.
You just read it, and I said it 10 minutes ago, so let the record reflect my testimony.
I just want to make sure there's no misunderstanding, because there are victims like Virginia Weaver who have testified otherwise.
I'm going to answer that question, Billy Darling, and it's so lovely to see you. The Millers, maybe. I'm going to bet my money on Alan Dershowitz. He's got so much to hide, and he's an expert in law. I think he's got like 60 years experience, because he's like 300 years old.
Who have said otherwise, and you're telling the American people today that the Epstein list is a single name and it's Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we're to believe?
That's not what I'm saying. That's what you're saying. And you can say whatever you want.
Let me ask you this.
And you guys have probably all heard about the day that CASHAPP flew into Utah, where Charlie Kirk was red-rummed, and how he wouldn't get off the airplane until he had a size medium FBI jacket. And it's like the head of the FBI doesn't wear one of those jackets anyway, but he wouldn't wear a large because he looked like a small child in it. And it took them a very long time to get a medium, and it was from a woman.
When Todd Blanche went to interview Ghislaine Maxwell, she said, but did I think these guys were coming for that? I really don't. If you met Epstein, there's no way that this cast of characters, of which it's extraordinary, and some are in your cabinet, who you value as your co-workers, and would be with him if he was a creep or.
Okay, some are in the cabinet. RFK Jr., Hegsbreth. I know for a fact RFK Jr., but I'm going to bet my bottom dollar on Hegsbreth too, and probably William Barr, Steve Bannon, CASHAPP.
Because they wanted sexual favors. A man wants sexual favors, he will find that. They didn't have to come to Epstein for that. And the next question Todd Blanche, the president's former criminal defense lawyer, asked is not who in the cabinet. Who are you referring to? His question is, so when's the last time you think you were with Mr. Epstein when he got a massage? So let me ask you, who are those cabinet members that Ghislaine Maxwell was referring to that that were part of this cast of characters associated with Mr. Epstein? Who are they?
Yeah, and Gates, all the freaking billionaires. I'm gonna bet Zuck is in there too, which is why I'm so suspicious of Zuck being boots on the ground, searching for Kylie Rodney. Damn it.
The Deputy Attorney General took the aggressive step that no one else did and interviewed Miss Maxwell for
No, I'm
2
asking you,
days, and we released
who are
the
the cabinet
entirety
members?
of that
Who are the cabinet
transcript.
members?
I do not have that transcript in front of me. You're picking it piecemeal. The American
And-
public can read
Let
the
me ask
entirety
you
of that.
one last.
So Kash Patel, someone who might have contributed more Epstein conspiracy theories than anyone else in this administration, of course, right up until the moment when they could actually release information about Jeffrey Epstein that would be damaging to Donald Trump. Kash Patel, who has said we need to get all the documents out, that this is the biggest scandal in history, again, up until the moment it was going to hurt Donald Trump, he's now saying, and this is incredibly important, there was no one else involved. And why is Kash Patel trying to...
The other big thing that's incredibly important is if indeed little E is deceased, who done it? And I do agree with you, Nancy, that he might not be, but my opinion is that he is, and that we all know exactly who did it.
make that case to us? Why does he want us to believe that there was no one else involved? Because while Kash Patel and Pam Bondi and Donald Trump can stall information coming out of the DOJ, they can stall information coming out of the FBI, what they cannot stall, what they cannot stand in the way of, is subpoenas going out to other individuals who were involved in this trafficking ring. That is why Kash Patel wants to say there is no one else involved. You do not need to look into this. Please to be distracted. Turn your attention somewhere else. There is no one else who can speak ill of Donald Trump. That is what he is saying. It is a farce. It is a beyond inconceivable lie that he is telling. It is why Adam Schiff gave so much pushback, and it is why today we are learning about just how expansive this trafficking ring is. A new lawsuit alleging some serious crimes against Donald Trump that I want to get into right here. Trump slapped with massive lawsuit alleging Epstein identical trafficking operation. Donald Trump has been slapped with a $310 million lawsuit alleging the president engaged in a
When I was listing some of these creeps earlier, I left out Ron Eppinger. And most of these people aren't alive anymore.
Trafficking venture that was identical in every material respect to the sex trafficking operation allegedly spearheaded by Jeffrey Epstein. Filed on November 24th in Palm Beach County, the lawsuit names Trump in both his individual and official capacity as president, alongside Tesla founder and Trump ally Elon Musk and Microsoft founder Bill Gates, both of whom have spent time inside Epstein's home, according to reports, and in Musk's case, his own admission. The plaintiffs in the lawsuit, whose names have been redacted, accuse Trump and others of operating an 8-year trafficking and exploitation venture that began in 2018 that has continued and escalated under the current Trump administration, according to an uncertified copy.
This is current, 8 years starting 2018. So that basically brings us right up to next month, right? 2026. This is just about 6 more minutes.
The lawsuit published and reported on Tuesday by the hyper-local news outlet Boca News Now. Specifically, the plaintiffs accuse Trump of grooming the lead plaintiff in the lawsuit, an unnamed minor on whose behalf the lawsuit was filed, starting in 1998, the exact year the plaintiff was born. They accused Trump of using Gates's foundation as the primary cover and silencing mechanism to continue the operation, as well as facilitating coordinated sexual assaults. The plaintiffs also allege that the minor plaintiff's infant daughter was taken for her as punishment for filing lawsuits.
Talk about conspiracies, right? Conspiring to commit statutory essays.
Which they argue was identical to Epstein's use of custody threats against mothers who sued. Additionally, the plaintiff accused Trump and the others named defendants of having attempted to murder the plaintiff no fewer than on 5 separate occasions between 2023.
So this is really good. I'll link this up in the description, of course. This is Jack Cocchiarella, I think from yesterday or the day before yesterday. I think it's just yesterday. Yeah, what was I going to say? that it's talking about, I'm totally going blank. The attempted red rum. So all of these victims, Virginia Giuffre included, okay, no fewer than 5 separate occasions of attempted red rum by way of poisoning, vehicular assaults, and orchestrated physical attacks designed to appear accidental. And that's just from 2023 to November of this year. So, basically just a year or two, 5 times. This is pretty much exactly what Virginia went through, in my opinion.
November of this year, including by way of poisoning, vehicular assaults, and orchestrated physical attacks designed to appear accidental. Trump is not facing any active criminal charges and has and continues to deny any wrongdoing as it relates to Epstein, who died in 2019 awaiting trial on trafficking charges. The plaintiffs in the case are seeking at least $310 million in damages, more than $134 million in attorney's fees, and injunctive relief that would include the immediate return of full legal and physical custody of the lead plaintiff's daughter. They also asked the court that the trial be expedited so that the trial by jury is held by December 20th. I find this incredibly important, considering that one of the under-discussed stories in the Epstein files was a lawsuit that was going to be brought forward against both Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein by a minor who had allegedly been assaulted by both men. This is not.
He's referring to Katie Johnson, the one who said she was 13. And she mentions in her lawsuit that she filed 3 times and withdrew 3 times in 2016, that there was a 12-year-old there too, whose name was Maria, that she has no idea what became of Maria after this incident.
Been covered because it did not go forward. It did not continue. Of course, we know there were lots of threats used by these 2 men. But this is just incredibly important to continue to talk about, especially, again, as Donald Trump is focused on silencing any person with connection to him or to Epstein. And the most obvious example is Ghislaine Maxwell, whose happily spent time in prison is still not covered nearly enough. Jamie Raskin was calling out right here.
Even before Todd Blanche's.
And I just gotta say, I love Lawrence O'Donnell. He is one of my favorites.
Tweet today, you were trying to get Todd Blanche to actually deliver testimony to your committee. It seems that tweet, with him willing to identify for you what isn't in the Epstein files, is at least the beginning of possibly valuable testimony.
Well, that's right. All these emails, of course, completely debunk and discredit what Ghislaine Maxwell told Todd Blanche when he went over and engaged in that sweetheart interview with her. Now his defense to this, we didn't have all of the emails from the Epstein estate.
First of all, no lawyer would interview anybody without doing all their homework. Obviously, they didn't want to get anything out of the conversation. It was just totally pissing in the wind, wasting everybody's time and all of our taxpayer money.
First of all, I find that almost impossible to believe. If you look at the index of what was seized by the FBI, it includes 40 computers from Jeffrey Epstein, 26 storage drives, for a total of I think it's more than 300 gigabytes.
I love when he stutters. It's so astronomical that he's stuttering.
Material. So the idea that his emails weren't in there is ridiculous. And of course, they probably didn't look. If they were in there, they never looked for them, because the very first thing they did when they took over the Department of Justice was they summoned all of the prosecutors' materials that had been assembled over the years, and they declared the case over. They shut it down before they looked at anything. But let's assume that he knew what he was talking about and he was telling the truth, that they were not in there. Obviously, the thing to do now is to say, okay, we're going to have a second round of interviews with the witness here, with Ghislaine Maxwell, now that we have all of these emails that completely debunk and undermine what it was she was saying. But they're not going to make any movement in that direction, of course, because they just want the whole thing to go away. And all of it invites the question, in what capacity has he been acting? Is it as...
So they're showing that footage. You can probably see it here of, I think it's, I want to say it's 1992 when little E comes to Mar-a-Lago and Jizz is in the background and Donnie Two Dolls is talking to little E and whispering in his ear, and then little E like doubles over laughing, and they both just look so effing sinister. They both look like the type that would basically eat long pig.
Donald Trump's personal criminal defense lawyer, or is it as the Deputy Attorney General of the United States who's interested in protecting victims and future victims from a billion-dollar child sex predator ring that operates or operated or has operated all over
multi-billion-dollar annually, okay?
The world. And so, maybe he was operating as Donald Trump's emissary to determine, one, that she would say nothing untoward about Donald Trump, and two, to see whether she was going to be cooperative enough to actually merit a pardon from Donald Trump. So he's acting kind of like a pardon attorney. Well, he obviously will do anything that Donald Trump tells him to do. I think what it is that Congress needs to do at this point is to say that we completely oppose a pardon for this convicted child sex offender who continues to lie about both Jeffrey Epstein and also about Donald Trump.
Ghislaine Maxwell is staying at what amounts to a 5-star hotel on you and I's dime. We are paying for her to get her food delivered, to stay in a room 4 times larger than any inmate, to do yoga, to have a puppy.
Yeah, I have puppies and yoga, but I haven't done the crap that she's done. And she probably doesn't even have to like do any of the hard work that comes with having a puppy, right? She's got the staff there at the prison doing everything for her. I'm sure she doesn't pick up poop.
There was a video of her on a sunny day walking around with an umbrella to shade her. Ghislaine Maxwell is living the high life in her fake prison because she has dirt on Donald Trump. And there are so many people who also have that same amount of dirt. They are being kept quiet out of
Daddy Vladdy being one of them.
Fear of retribution, not hopes of a pardon, but nonetheless, they need to be heard. We need to be talking about this more. We are certainly going to be on this show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video if you're stuck around.
Okay, so that's Jack Cocchiarella. Pretty frightening, huh? That's just one lawsuit. There's been a lot of lawsuits filed over the years against Tenacious D that he has settled out of court. I think I've read a list of them to you guys once or twice, and the millions of dollars that he's paid for hush money, basically. And then when people settle, they sign a non-disclosure agreement. I think that Donnie Two Dolls had everybody sign non-disclosure agreements, like anybody who even probably worked at Mar-a-Lago. Probably even Virginia Giuffre had to sign a non-disclosure agreement. I'm pretty sure, I know she had to do a rug test, that everybody getting hired has to do a rug test, which is ironic when you look at his sons, right? Especially the one, Don Jr. And then I want to say she had to do a polygraph too. And to me, that's just like intimidation and control. You know, Keg's breath has made employees succumb to polygraphs. So I've told you guys about the Sarah Ransome, who was 22 years old when she was at the beginning of getting abused by little E. And she's written a book. I want to read her book. She's one of the people that tried to swim off the island. I think it was when she was 22, when she was kind of new to the whole situation. And she decided to turn around and go back because the water was choppy. It was 2 miles away from anything. And she didn't think she'd survive. But there's also talk recently about a 15-year-old who tried to swim off of the island. I think this was in the dump of information with the photographs and videotape of the island. This 15-year-old that tried to swim off the island, little E and his people did a search party and they intervened. They got a hold of her, and she was in a lot of trouble, as you can imagine. But it made me wonder how many other people have tried to swim off the island, and how many of those people either didn't make it because of the water or because they were captured and then they didn't make it. I think that there's a lot of people that aren't survivors that have been victims. I think a lot of the survivors aren't survived anymore, if you catch my drift. I'm sure you do. But yeah, what else do I want to talk about before wrapping up? We're just at an hour, and you know how hard it is for me to get back into the swing of it when I haven't been doing this for a while. So thanks for your patience and thanks for being here, you guys. I only skipped one day. I did one the day before yesterday, but before that, I think I skipped like 3 days. And honestly, I would like to keep skipping because of my damn braces, but I hate skipping. I love interacting with you guys. I love doing this whole process. And when I do it more routinely, when I do it consistently, when I do it daily, I feel like I'm so much sharper and able to convey my ideas more clearly and more succinctly. And I try to do them when there's not people in the house, but I can probably figure out how to do that over these next few days so that I've got more quiet and less distraction. I think that'd be really helpful since I'm already dealing with the races, and I probably won't be able to get in tomorrow or over the weekend. I probably just have to wait until Monday. So this is a really good question. I have not heard anyone ask this question, and I would love to know what you guys think of it. So I'm convinced that Virginia did not do to herself what cost her her life. I'm convinced that she's much like the person that filed this most recent lawsuit against Donnie Two Dolls, that they made a series of attempts on her life. Poisoning, car accident, and other stuff. Maybe domestic violence, beatings. Maybe that's how she broke her neck. That story about her just like falling down and breaking her neck is sort of like the old typical domestic violence. Like, yeah, I ran into the door again. Always like, oh, me so clumsy, right? Maybe that was one of the times that they tried to do her in and they broke her neck. Anyway, this is my question. In the event that she was unalived by others, which I firmly believe she was, just my opinion, did the people that did that, would they have thought that that would have prevented her book from being published? Were they like just trying to scare her and threaten her, like with the car crash and with all the, what I think was poisoning when she contracted all those diseases, like what was it, like meningitis and malaria from the mosquitoes at the butterfly farm. Yeah, that's all so far-fetched. Did they think that they could prevent her from publishing the book? Was that their goal? Because it's my guess that that was their goal, that they really didn't want her to publish the book. Even though, in my estimation, in my opinion, the book just skates on the surface of the depths of the depravity. Continuously being raped would make you want to escape, but what if they found out about people being sacrificed so they were trying to get away? Yeah, it would make you want to escape. Yeah, Anna Bees, that's a really good comment. Let me highlight that one if I can, if it will allow. Stupid computer. See, that's what I need for Christmas, is a new computer. Yeah. It would make you want to escape, but what if they found out about people being I mean, we believe, don't you and I both believe, and probably Billy as well, and maybe, dang it, Nancy, that that's what happened with Kylie Rodney, that she was sacrificed. And I always wondered if she was abducted and taken into the transporting ring and a place just like the island. And yeah, I think it was Billy earlier who was saying that he owned 2 islands, which he did. Plus, not only did he have the Zora Ranch, the property in New York, the Miami, or the West Palm Beach property, he also had a European property, I think in Paris, and probably more. I don't know for sure. Yeah, he was filthy rich, and people keep talking about where the money come from. I think it came from laundering for Daddy Vladdy and BB. I think it came from having dirt on people. I think it came from, I mean, I'm sure he had a very diversified portfolio as a pedo. The type of stuff that Stephen Stearns did, videos and photographs, that stuff makes bank. I mean, it's disgusting and it's hideous and it's horrible, but that's why they do it. It's because they're sick freaks with no moral compass who really, in my opinion, deserve to be unalived and just take them out back and put them out of their misery. I mean, hideous. I think it was Billy a few minutes ago who brought up, she just wrote Benet, and I think that was John Benet Ramsey that she was probably mentioning. And yeah, you always got to wonder about that whole situation. Nobody was ever... It's a cold case. I mean, give me a break. Give me an effing break. All of them are connected all over the world. Yes. The people that do that kind of stuff, I mean, look at Coomer Scott Green, the president of University of Idaho, and he was a billionaire. And he came from New York. I mean, he was a graduate of University of Idaho, but then he had managed a law firm in New York City prior to being hired as the president of the university. When he came into the job, he had $3 billion to his name. And within, I think it was 2 to 4 years, he already had another $4 billion. We all know, like, none of that money comes easy. But when you're in the business, when you have the connections, when you have the OnlyFans accounts, when you have access to young, hot students, the possibilities are endless, aren't they? I mean, frat houses historically have always made their money off of blow, as far as I know. That's pretty much how they keep the lights on and pay the bills. Sororities, first of all, they don't have as much money as frat houses, maybe because they're not in the snow business. But now with OnlyFans, I don't know. Big, big business. So yeah, this new lawsuit that's in Jack Cocchiarella's video alleges that Donnie Two Dolls is still the kingpin in his modeling business activities. It sounds very plausible to me. It sounds very plausible. But all of the billionaires around him, all of the world leaders around him that are going to protect him because they're just as dirty, they have dirt on each other. It's an uphill battle, but it's one we have to win because we're not doing the Handmaid's Tale thing, damn it. Damn it, Janet. Yes, they are. University of Idaho has everything to do with the Idaho 4. Yeah, that whole case is a pile of crap. I mean, Idaho and Utah are both very conservative and governmentally influenced. Every state is governmentally influenced, but especially Idaho and especially Utah. Lots of money, lots and lots of money. And like I said, very conservative. And I don't believe any of the shenanigans about what happened to those 4 kids with the University of Idaho. At this point, I'm thinking that they're all being bred. That's what I'm thinking. And that they're all in a type of setting like those cabanas at the pool on the island. And maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe I'm just a crazy conspiracy theorist. I would hope so. I would hope that that's just ridiculous, crazy lunacy that couldn't possibly be real. But we all know how real it can be. And like, I wonder about Taylor Casey. Remember Taylor Casey from Chicago, the tall, black trans woman that went to the Bahamas for the yoga retreat and then disappeared after kind of getting stalked by a guy, a black man wearing all black and having a walkie-talkie. I mean, they love the whole trans thing. You know, they're like obsessed with that. And she was a very attractive woman. I mean, whether she was trans or not, she was a very attractive woman. And then the trans, I think, just makes it that much more appealing to the pervs, honestly. So that's not to say that she's still alive, but I think that that's what happened to her. And, you know, I hope that all of the victims are still alive. I know some people think that they hope that they're not because they wouldn't want them to be getting continuously tortured like that. But, you know, we've all seen some of these survivors who've been through so much, who are so grateful to be alive and to have a chance at having a normal life once again. Like, I think about those 3 women in Cleveland who were chained up in that guy's house for like 10 years. Remember that case? That was nuts. That was absolutely nuts. In case you don't remember the case, let me look it up real quick. That was so insane. And, you know, nobody thought any of those girls were still alive. And everybody would have thought that they, having survived what they survived, that they would have probably preferred to be taken out. But so many of them know they want to survive by any means possible. Let's see if this will do. Cleveland House of Horrors, 3 victims locked up for 10 years. It's the miracle in Cleveland. So it was 12 years ago. It's called the Cleveland House of Horrors case, involving the abduction and imprisonment of 3 young women, Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Gina De Jesus, by Ariel Castro, who held them captive in his Seymour Avenue home in Cleveland for a period of between 9 and 11 years. They were freed on May 6, 2013, after Amanda Berry made a daring escape and called the police. The 3 women were kidnapped in separate incidences between 2002 and 2004 when they were all young, Michelle Knight being 21, Amanda Berry 16, and Gina De Jesus 14 at the time of their abductions. But Michelle Knight was really small. I want to say she wasn't even 5 feet tall, so she looked younger than any of them. Michelle Knight, now known as Lily Rose Lee, was the first victim, abducted in August 2002, held for nearly 11 years, endured severe physical and Rex abuse, which included multiple forced miscarriages caused by Castro's beatings. And at least one, if not all 3 of them, were friends with his daughter, who didn't live with him, but she came over to visit when they were locked up, which is one of the ways that he targeted them, was because he was acquainted with them. Amanda Berry was kidnapped in April of 2003, the day before her 17th birthday, and held for almost exactly 10 years. In 2006, she gave birth to a daughter, Jocelyn, fathered by Castro, with Michelle Knight forced to act as a midwife. The birth of her daughter was later credited as bringing hope to the captives. Gina De Jesus was abducted in April of 2004 while walking home from middle school, held for about 9 years. She and Knight were often held in the same room on the top floor and provided support for each other during their ordeal. Inside the boarded up house, the women were kept in separate rooms, often chained to walls or bedposts, deprived of proper hygiene and subjected to unimaginable physical, sexual, and psychological torture. Castro would celebrate the anniversary of each abduction with a special dinner and cake. I did not know that part. There's been a ton of documentaries about these. And Amanda Berry worked for the Cleveland News for a long time. Maybe she still does, doing a segment on missing persons. The women were only allowed to leave the house twice during their entire captivity, and only to go to the adjacent garage wearing disguises. Escape and aftermath. On May 6th of 2013, Amanda Berry found a rare opportunity when Castro left the main interior door to the house unlocked. The storm door was padlocked, but she managed to squeeze her arm through an opening and call for help, catching the attention of neighbor Charles Ramsey, who helped kick in the door panel to free her and her daughter. Police arrived quickly and rescued Knight and De Jesus from the home. Ariel Castro was arrested the same day and ultimately pled guilty to 937 criminal counts. That's probably not even half as many as, Donnie Two Dolls, right? Including kidnapping, rape, and aggravated red rum due to the termination of pregnancies. He was sentenced to life in prison plus 1,000 years without the possibility of parole. 1 month into his sentence, he died by self-unaliving in his prison cell. The house on Seymour Avenue was demolished in August of 2013. Since their escape, the women have worked to heal and help others, with Michelle Knight, Lily Rose Lee, publishing a memoir, Amanda Berry and Gina De Jesus co-authoring the book Hope, a memoir of survival in Cleveland, and co-founding the Cleveland Family Center for Missing Children and Adults to support families of missing persons. Wow. Yeah. Probably everybody has heard about that case, but it's been a while. I mean, it is so insane how many people get kidnapped. Most of them don't survive. I think the statistic is probably like 98% of missing persons are, if they're abducted, that they're unalive within 48 hours. I hate to say that, but I think that that's somewhere close to the statistic. That's unbelievable. But for anybody who has a loved one that's missing, it's like, keep hope alive. You never know. You never know. Wouldn't that be nice if Kylie, for instance, was still of the living? Wouldn't that be freaking amazing? Yes, they are. U of I has everything to do with Idaho 4. That is so terrible. Why didn't the neighbors notice that it was weird that the windows were boarded up? Well, because the guy was just weird. He was just a mental case. So he had at least one daughter who was probably around 13 years old because she was friends with one or two of them, which is how he abducted the first or the second one. Was like they recognized him and he offered them a ride home. I think he ran into them at like the corner store or something like that. I think that was the real little one, the 21-year-old. But anyway, it's been a long time since I've seen any of those documentaries about it. So yeah, the neighbors didn't notice, or I'm sure they noticed that it was weird. They noticed that the place was boarded up, but he was in a bad neighborhood where that kind of wasn't unheard of. Because yeah, most neighborhoods it is unheard of and it's not allowed, and you'd have first responders checking out the house. But it was a really bad part of Cleveland, like probably the worst part of Cleveland. Well, I'd say his house was absolutely the worst house in Cleveland, right? But the women that survived, man, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's amazing what people can survive, huh? Amazing. So I think I'm going to wrap up since we're at about 90 minutes. Thank you so much for being here, my loves. You're the best. Tomorrow's Friday. I will hope to have a live, maybe let's shoot for about 2 or 3 o'clock. And I'll get my brain turned back on between now and then. What else? Anything else before we wrap up, you guys? Drink your water, eat your protein. Meat and beans is the best amino acid smorgasbord that your body can utilize to recover from any kind of surgery or emotional, nervous breakdown, broken leg, anything, broken brain. Beans and meat together. All right. Love you guys. Have a lovely evening. Have a good shift at work and see you soon. Thanks for watching and keep hope alive. Never give up.